the type of business they want to run. And there is, let's say, a big event for the state of Massachusetts using public money. The state should not be using that baker to cater that event based on their discrimination, if you will, or their decision not to choose to make that cake for that particular couple.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, questions or comments? If I may, Representative Howard, I would just like to say that I know you to be a good and decent man, and what was sent to your house is both vile and repugnant and is not tolerated or condoned by any member of this committee, nor any member of the Great and General Court. So thank you very much for your attendance. Well, certainly. Oh, my apologies. Representative Provost.
Certainly, these are repugnant materials you've shown us. The question I have for you is, what would this legislation add to the state procurement process that isn't already covered by the state comptroller's boilerplate provision that goes into every state contract, in which contractors have to certify that they're in compliance with the state's anti-discrimination laws?
Well, as an attorney, you have a better feeling for it than I do, but I think this has been going on, and sometimes you have a law, but the enforcement of the law isn't always carried out. This would just be one added layer to help with the enforcement of the laws we have on the books. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Provost. Any other questions from the committee? Thank you very much, Representative. The chair would like to take this opportunity to recognize Representative Marjorie Decker from Cambridge. Thank you, Representative Decker. Oh. Representative Vincent, my apologies. The chair would like to take this opportunity to recognize Representative Rosalie Vincent from Revere. Thank you, Representative Vincent. Treasurer Goldberg, if you could come forward, please.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Chairman Timilty and Chairwoman Benson. Chairwoman Benson, congratulations on your new appointment. It looks like we're talking about things differently than we were in the past. I thank you for taking me out of turn this morning. It was very important for me to be able to be here, and I ran in between a couple different appointments. But I am here to offer my strongest possible support for Senate Bill 1689 and House Bill 1685, an act prohibiting discrimination in state contracts, filed by Senator Cream and Representative McMurtry. This bill would require anyone applying for a state contract to certify that they are in compliance with our laws against discrimination. This includes businesses that target an individual's race, color, creed, religion, sex, national origin, gender identity, or sexual orientation. In other words, those who we all support, all of us who work in this building, and expect to have happen within this state. This legislation would prohibit contracting with companies that boycott Israel and Israeli businesses based solely on their national identity. It sends a clear message that hate and bigotry have no place in this Commonwealth, in our Commonwealth, period. It echoes similar anti-BDS bills passed in several other states, in very bipartisan states, as well as an executive order in New York, and underscores the strength of the Massachusetts-Israel economic relationship. And all of us in this building know what those relationships have done for our economy. As treasurer, I am fully aware of it. I urge this committee to endorse this important legislation with a favorable report and hope that it will soon reach the governor's desk. I thank you for your time this morning, and I want to again thank Senator Cream and Representative McMurtry for sponsoring this very, very important bill, and the bipartisan group of legislators who have lent their support as co-sponsors. So I thank you for your time. I appreciate being able to come in. I thank other speakers for allowing me that too. And I hope that you will report favorably on these bills. Thank you again.
Madam Treasurer, thank you very much. Questions from the committee? Thank you very much, Madam Treasurer.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Oh. Representative Decker.
Thank you. Treasurer Goldberg, could you help me understand how our current laws don't provide the kind of protections you're talking about, and where this would curb the ability for those who peacefully wish to protest as private citizens? I'd like to understand more of your thinking around where our laws currently fall short, because my understanding is that this, in fact, doesn't add protections that somehow aren't there at the moment. And so I'd like to just hear more of your thinking about this. Thank you.
I think in the kind of era that we are living in, with the kind of discrimination that has taken off in the last couple years, and the incredible increase of attacks on people of all sorts of races, creeds, and particularly religions, it is critical that we send very direct, very clear messages about discrimination. And just this year, the number of anti-Semitic incidences in this state have increased. Israel is a critical trading partner. The BDS movement is about interfering. It is not even ambiguously about what it means. And it is a national movement to interfere with trading partner that is important to our country, but even more important to our state. So this bill allows us to send a clear message, and that's why I think it's more important than the laws that we presently have.
Thank you. I'd like a follow-up question. I guess I'm trying to understand that with the laws that are already in place, there's been a lot of talk both from the ACLU and other organizations that say that in fact what you're suggesting in terms of protection is not necessary. So I'd like to understand sort of specifically, we're certainly living in a time of rising hatred, anti-Semitism, racism, a lot of violence against a lot of people, and the rise of anti-Semitism is absolutely clear and unacceptable. I would like to understand where in our state regulations right now, I'm having a hard time, as you might imagine, when I have organizations like the ACLU and others saying that, in fact, the current laws right now, like if you have a state contract, you actually have to sign, as you know, work that says you do not discriminate. So I'd like to understand sort of, other than sort of, I'm trying to just really understand where it is.
You know, I've been...
As someone who has a long history of standing up for...
Okay, I'd like to respond. I've been a strong supporter of the ACLU and worked hand in hand with them over many, many years. As a fellow progressive from the town of Brookline, the ACLU and I worked together on how to figure out how to not have boycotting of doctors' homes who are performing abortions. It happened in my own neighborhood and terrified the children in those homes. So it's always a balance. But the reality is that we're in new times, and our messages have to be very unambiguous. So on this issue, the ACLU and I may not agree. And I believe that this does not harm anyone. It is a clear message on the part of our state government about how we feel. And I'm going to be candid. I've been studying history. The times we are in are dangerous, and we need to be clear as public officials. And so that's my position. And look, I know how we have to balance everybody's interests, and certainly the ACLU has their own voice. but you're going to hear from a lot of people who don't necessarily agree with what we need to do. And I think that this bill warrants a positive report out of this committee. Thank you.
I just, one more follow-up. I appreciate that. I guess I agree. We are in dangerous times. We are in ugly times. And we certainly need to be a strong voice that does not tolerate discrimination or hatred in any form. I'm trying to understand, as the treasurer, is there something specifically you're seeing right now in our current laws where, can you give me an example of where in our current laws right now, enacting this law would actually fill a gap in the laws around discrimination in state contracts?
I will be happy to get that information to you this afternoon and submit it to the committee. I don't think that that required laughter, by the way, folks. What I'm going to say is that we are in different times. The laws need to catch up. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not asking a follow-up question. I just want to respond. I agree. There's nothing funny about happening here, and I would ask all of us here, this is clearly a very, and thank you, Madam Treasurer, this is really a very volatile issue. Let's not pretend it isn't. It's a divisive issue of people who often come together on a lot of issues around social, economic, peace, and justice. There is clearly a divide in opinion up here and in here. And I think it is important that we figure out a very thoughtful and civil way to have these conversations, to ask questions, to try to better understand how we move forward, knowing that there's a lot more we have in common that we don't. And so I will ask, on whatever side, whatever motivates you to be here today, to really be thoughtful in your reaction, because it will only add to the tension that clearly already exists here, and that is a distraction from us figuring out how to engage thoughtfully with people that we have to share community and build a foundation with. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Madam Treasurer. Any further questions from the committee? Thank you very much. Helga Lustig, if you could come forward, please. Yeah.
I'm very, very, very appreciative. I'm really glad I came because to hear the discussion, to hear how important this is, to hear, I'm very glad that I came because it took something to come. And because it does show that the individual, that we really count what we say and what our people that we voted for, that our government is working. And I just have to give a quick introduction for myself, because I think it's important to see why I get really emotional